Novo was doing quite well. I think, yeah, it was doing great, up 189% over the 5-year. And that's with this pullback that we're seeing 19%. Oh my God. And this chart is not showing that big drop. So let me go to Google. So 188, it's dropped a lot today. Wow. So today's drop is really taking the stock down. It's down 19.24%. So let me take a look at their financials and see what I think is going on here. So it's a big cap, right? 457 billion. The PE was a little bit high at 32, forward P of 28. Okay. And let me see some of these storylines. I haven't gotten deep into what's going on at Novo Nordisk. I'm not an investor. And so the category SEMA delivered disappointing trial results for their next gen weight loss drug. I believe they have a weight loss drug that's commercially available. It competes with Eli Lilly. Eli Lilly is the leader in the space. Okay. All right. So some disappointing news. Let's take a look at the financials and see what's going on. So that disappointment in trials, right? When you have a drug going through trials, it's not commercially available, meaning you're not selling it. People are not using it. So these numbers are not affected by that story. This is for all existing products that they're able to sell in the marketplace. And I'm seeing really a real prosperous business, up 26%, quarterly, up 21%. And part of this, gradual lower percentage growth rate is that the number that you're comparing to keeps getting bigger. So that's understandable. It's not like a big giant concern to me. It's actually understandable. So they're growing real nice. Now, the thing I like about pharmaceutical companies is usually they have superb gross margins, 84%. I will toast my coffee to Novo Nordisk for those margins. And that's why they're worth $450 billion is gross margins, and free cash flow, 77. Now, let me take a peek and make sure I'm looking at the right currency. See, I caught myself. It's a DKK currency. No problem. What? I've got this smart AI engine behind me. See how fast Meta AI is going to answer that question. Take a little while. I think Google would be a little quicker. So it's about 0.14. All right. So 0.14. And looking at their free cash flow, it's going to be about 10 billion. And I could do a full valuation. It might be worth it because close to 20% drop in a stock, I think, is a little overplayed. We are in a declining market. What's interesting when you're having sell-offs, right? And it'll be cool to, it's great to experience markets that are appreciating with you guys, because then we're like, all right, cool, man, stocks are going up. It's great. Making lots of money. But when we have these sell-offs, it's also an opportunity, because sometimes, like Novo Nordisk may be like, hey, the market's overselling it. So we can then kind of say, hey, this is a pretty good time to buy. When everybody's afraid, when everybody's scared, be greedy. That's when you get a really nice discount on a stock potentially. So why don't we dive into Novo Nordisk and do a valuation on it and see what I think is the value behind this company. Now, I am an investor in Pfizer, and I consider Pfizer, Novo Nordisk not doing the same thing, but they're both pharmaceutical companies. They're not selling the same type of drugs, but they are the same type of company. And I will use that as a starting point, and then we can do a valuation on Novo Nordisk, see if it's a good buy. All right, so hopefully I spelled that right, correct. Discount rate, 8%. I'm good with that. So free cash flow. So I'm going to move this guy to my other screen so I can use my two screens in my favor and then update my spread or my sheet, my Google sheet. So this is going to be trailing 12 months for now, and then I might grow it a little bit. So this is going to be 77,748 Danish krone, I believe, times 0.14. So that's 10 billion. Now, do I expect that this is going to grow? It looks like they've been growing their free cash flow, but they have had kind of a little bit of a dip if you look at the quarterly. So I'm just going to leave that alone and grow it by 10%. Not quite. I'm going to go to 7. And long-term growth, 4%. So that'll set the forecast that I think is a pretty good forecast for Novo Nordisk for the future. We're coming in at an intrinsic value of $275.7 billion. So cash on the balance sheet, let's take a look at that. Wow, nice. They have $11 billion. Wow, nice. They have less debt, so strong balance sheet. And then debt is $8.520 billion. The market cap for Novo Nordisk is $457.620 billion. So it's overpriced by 41%, even at this reduced price. And, the weight loss drugs are a little bit like, not as crazy as the AI hype, but, it causes investors to really put a high expectation on these stocks. And if we look at the 5-year, right, we've got a stock that's pretty much tripled in value. It was trading, call it at $40 a share, and now it's up to $83, which is doubling, but not too long ago had tripled, more than tripled. So you could see that there was a lot of price action on the stock that really fueled it up. And now investors might be thinking, well, all that really optimistic growth may not be in the picture. And based on what I'm thinking, if they're just going to be a growth company, even if I said, hey, they're going to grow their free cash flows by 15% over the next 4 years. And the reason I go only 4 years with that cash flow is competition is going to come into the market for weight loss. And who knows, you may have an administration that says, hey, we're not going to cover weight loss. If people want to lose weight, or the guy that's supposed to be in charge of the healthcare or health department with the feds, he's come out and said, hey, people should just eat the right foods and exercise. So even if I went really optimistic, it's still really hard to get there from a free cash flow perspective. So I would not be touching Novo Nordisk, and we'll see how that plays out. But thanks for asking about Novo Nordisk. It's interesting to see that it's selling off, and I would not be buying it. Selling off 20%. Wow. If you look at the 1 year, this was a big winner, but this year it'd be officially a loser for an investor. It's a pretty good one. The dividend's still somewhat low too. All right. So Novo Nordisk taking a big hit.